Hi, this is Zam here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 8th of February. Starting off with the FTSE 100, where the dirge-like price action over the last couple of weeks continues. Good news is that we're above a rising 50-day line. That's there at 75.96, and we haven't needed to touch it in order to consolidate. So that does suggest we're in a mid-move consolidation with the next part of the price action, a break of 76.90. And then heading on to the top of the August rising trend channel at 7,800. Perhaps by the end of this month on the downside, probably the 200-day line there at 75.50, the lowest. We're expecting RSI on the right side of 50 still, so that does give a little bit of encouragement, even though we're hardly moving at all. The next situation is the DAX, and here, dance either side of the 17,000 level now. We want to see this market stay above recent support, 16,800, and especially above the floor of that rising trend channel from October, 16,600. A clean break and a significant break of 17,000 could take us up to the top of that October channel, 17,900 by the end of next month. We'll give it a bit of time to cook. Moving along to the Dow, and here the magic has continued with support coming in above 38,000 now. We've got the rising trend channel there from October. Support line there, 38,200, so expecting that to hold. And above 38,200, looking for up to 40,000 by the end of next month. Worst case scenario at the moment is a test of the 50-day line, the blue line there, 37,300 is required on any horrible rug pull that might evolve. Speaking of rug pulls, we had one in the wake of the ETF news with Bitcoin, but it seems to have finally shaken that off now. Sort of inverted head and shoulders pattern there, bear trap from below 40,000 as well. Rising 50-day line, which was spotted here a few days ago, which meant it was a positive consolidation. Also double bounce off the RSI 50 level, another leading indicator on the upside, and all of this suggesting that we could head up to 51,000 on the top of that August rising trend channel by the end of next month, or even sooner. Downside limited to 38,000 if there is a rug pull, which it was the old November resistance, but with that double RSI rebound and the rising 50-day line, 40,000 looks like the lowest this market will sink to. Touch wood, obviously. Going on to gold, which is almost not worth talking about. It's sort of gone into a FTSE-like death, in this case just above the 50-day line for 2045. Still looking for a definitive break of 2060-70, which is recent resistance, but actually it might just be better to wait for a break either of the 2040 level or of 2100, because in the meantime, this market not really doing very much at all. Moving along to the stocks, and starting off with Block Energy, which I haven't looked at for ages, and perhaps from the chart you can see why. We did have a bear trap gap reversal back in December. We've had positive consolidation above a rising 50-day line since then, and an unfilled gap to the upside today, so that does suggest something positive is happening or will happen there. The 50-day line there at 0.96, above that we're looking for a move to 1.545 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of this month. If you're cautious, wait for a definitive break of the 200-day line at 1.1 pence, but maybe that gives away some of the near-term upside. Moving on to Eco Buildings, which is in focus today after the latest fundraise, which I think departing directors also took part in, so quite keen. It's also noteworthy because the placing price was 12p and we are actually hanging at that level. In fact, the share's a bit up, so that's normally a good sign for a stock. And initial target here, 14. Above that, looking for maybe 18 pence by the end of next month, but ideally we stay above recent 11-12 pence support. Moving on to a stock which I think has worked very well here, Global Petroleum, and we'll see where we are today. Here you can see that we managed to hit our initial target there around 0.15, with a V-shaped bull flag breakout through 0.18, 0.19, and above that looking for our next target there, 0.28, hopefully by the end of this month or even sooner than that. So looking rather good on that, especially with that latest V-shaped bull flag, or that bull flag breakout situation. Onto Jangada, which is another Bulletin Board Heroes alumni. Here you can see that we had our initial target hit there in the 200-day line around 2.35 pence, looking for the shares to have a second go while they're above 2. So above 2, looking for 2.4, and then up to 3.2 maybe by the end of next month, which would be very pleasant. I think I'm the only person in the world looking at this next stock, Nexteq, and here we had the break through the 50-day line back in the beginning of the year at 103. Then the unfilled gap to the upside, the next signal there, and currently a V-shaped breakout there, looking at the 200-day line initially at 131, and then hopefully as high as 144 by the end of this month. Nice smooth turnaround there, relatively smooth on that stock. Premier African is next, and obviously it's great clickbait for people who want bit of viewing, and here we are today as well with the shares nearly getting up to the initial target there we had around 0.4, hoping that there might be a little bit of an overshoot there to the 200-day line at 0.46, but at the moment what's noteworthy is we have gapped up today, and while we're above recent neckline resistance at 0.31, looking for that 0.4 and that 0.46 area hopefully during the course of February. Returning to Poolbeg next with its beefed up board from memory there with the AMRIT directors. Here we've had a bear trap rebound from below the 8.7 pence level. Above that we're still looking for a break of 10 to give us up to the 11.5 pence area hopefully by the end of next month. I think the shares have been hanging around a bit too long now. It's time for a move to the upside after consolidating since November. Next stock is the stock of the day in terms of the rally that we've seen. A very interesting move. Obviously, most people didn't see it, but we did actually cover the shares previously. That line there was a predictive line there from back in the end of December, beginning of January, looking for around 14.5 pence. And that's been hit, in fact, that's been exceeded. The question is what will happen next, and after the shares fill that gap up to 14 pence from back in November. As long as we stay above the 8.75 pence level, we're still in business on the rally, and ideally we'd like to see an end-of-day close back above 14 pence. And that gap from November, that would be an extra signal, and then suggest we've got enough gas in the tank to head up to the 200-day line up at 31 pence. But obviously we can worry about that or consider that a bit later down the line. Another winner from the Bulletin Board Heroes has been Strategic Minerals, and very satisfying this one because it's actually behaved itself after many years of not behaving itself. The initial target here was 0.25. Above that we were looking for 0.35, which we'll hopefully get over the next week or two or even sooner. Bear trap gap reversal, the proper, or one of the best signals there are, and then the positive consolidation of a rising 50-day line. So Strategic did everything that was asked of it. Moving along to Touchstone, which I believe had an announcement today. Here we've had a bear trap gap reversal through the 50-day moving average. The old support there from December, 46 pence. Above that we're looking for obviously the top of the range, recent range, 61 pence. If you're a fan of the shares and looking for greater glories, then it would probably be the top of that triangle I've drawn there from the end of September. 66 pence on the cards while we're above the 46 pence area. Moving along to another stock beginning with T, and it's Tandem. Here you can see that we've had a beautiful sideways shuffle above a rising 50-day line, and the share's starting to move now, breaking through 149, recent neckline resistance. Initial target here up to the 200-day line at 192, and then after that, hopefully, maybe as soon as the end of next month, up to £2.30, and filling that gap down from September on their way. Ideally, we stay above the £1.70 area, the old resistance area from back in October, especially on an end-of-day close today. Tower Resources has been a difficult customer over the years, and hoping that on this occasion, after that massive gap down that we had last year, we'll start to 2024 in a better kind of vibe. Want to see an end-of-day close above the 50-day line there at 0.022. And while we're above that, looking for 0.036, if you can be bothered with these micro numbers, hopefully by the end of next month. But the whole pattern here really relying on staying above 0.022. On to the last three, and first one is fully cashed up, Woodbois, which is pretty impressive. Here we've already had a recovery within a rising trend channel there from back in April. The sizzle here is that the 200-day line is rising now at 0.67. And we've had an unfilled gap to the upside today. What we want to see, though, to complete the recovery, or at least the near-term recovery, is an end-of-day close above the 50-day line at 0.82 to take us up to 1.03 or 4, ideally by the end of next month. On to Xtract, which has been bumping along the bottom. Decent news today, but also interesting that we now have the 50-day line rising and bouncing, the shares bouncing on that rising 50-day line. So that suggests we should at least have a retest of last month's spike through 1.4 pence. Hopefully by the end of this month, ideally we stay on the right side of a penny. Stock which I looked at very recently is Zytronic, and it seems to be making progress, making a beeline towards the top of that gap down there at 77 pence. Above that, we can look for maybe a better target up to the 200-day moving average at 87 pence, ideally sometime during this month, and want to see the shares stay above the 50-day line at 71 pence in the meantime. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.